I am your host, a husband, father, witty conversationalist, and co-founder of the Movement Real Estate Group. Join me for engaging discussions with friends where we navigate through business, goals, self-development, relationships, and our community, and whatever else captures our interest. Come join me on this journey as we rediscover the art of conversation. All right, welcome back to the Movement Experience. I am your host, Merrick, episode 22, and we are doing a bit of a departure from what we normally do. We are doing an episode on real estate, so I'm a real estate agent. I have my lovely assistant / co-host with me, my wife, Sydney. Say hello.
Hi.
And what we're doing is, instead of me jawing on about things that I want to talk about in real estate, I asked you what I should talk about in real estate, and I got a bunch of questions. And so we're going to go through these questions one at a time, and then, we'll see where it goes. So
I just wrote them down as they came in.
Okay.
And no particular order.
Sweet.
And you don't know about them.
I don't know these. I'm raw dogging it. I don't know what I'm doing here. So these questions are coming across to me as they're coming across to you. So it's just kind of off the cuff what I think, and hopefully it doesn't get me in hot water.
Okay. First question. 5 abilities and layouts of a home need versus nice to have. 5
abilities?
Yeah.
That was the question?
Yep. Word for word.
5 abilities
and layouts of a home need versus nice to have.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to decipher what that means. Need to have versus nice to have. Okay, so 5 abilities of a home and layouts of a home. Man, that's okay. So let's talk about that separately. Let's go, needs and wants. Needs are what you absolutely have to have. Nice to haves are obviously what are nice but not deal breakers. 5 abilities. I don't know what they mean by the word abilities.
I didn't either, but I did write it down how they wrote it.
No problem. Okay, so 5 abilities and layouts. So honestly, I don't know how to answer that question. Whoever asked that question, come back and ask it again.
We can carry on. There is kind of similar to need versus nice to have.
Sure. Okay.
In some other questions.
Yeah.
We can come back to that.
Sure. We're starting off strong here. This is a good start here. I think everyone's tuning in. They're turning up the radios right now. They're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good podcast. All right. Next one. What is it?
The fable of interest rate and home prices and the lack of correlation. People think rates dictate prices, but that's not the root.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, rates don't dictate prices. Demand does. Rates dictate what's affordable. So if people can't afford it, they can't buy it. So prices are correlated, but not there's no causation. So correlation means, if this happens, then this happens. So, the high rates don't necessarily mean that's the cause of price increases. But it's certainly, if, when getting a mortgage and they assess your debt service ratio, how much you can afford to spend on the mortgage, the interest rate becomes a factor, right? So the more that's going towards interest rate, the less you're paying down to principal, but you can only service so much.
For sure.
So if, let's say your debt service ratio allows for a $500,000 payment towards housing, okay? If more of that money is towards interest, it means the principal purchase has to be less. So it's not a cause of prices, but it is definitely related. So yeah, the higher the interest rate, it's really to debt service ratio. Right now it's demand. Demand is driving prices higher, even though interest rates are high, inventory is high. Demand seemingly should be down because sales transactionally are down like 40%, but prices are rising.
Yeah.
So make that make sense. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before, and it's like, so I feel like we're whistling through a storm. Like we don't know what's about to happen. So we'll see. Hopefully rates come down and we get back into a normal market.
Okay. What home features actually sell and increase value? Things that come to mind, like 3 versus 4 bed, to outside spaces and certain finishes in a home.
Sure. Okay. That's a great question. So anytime you have 2 bedrooms up in a home, don't buy it. It is not sellable. It is so difficult to sell a bedroom with 2 bedrooms up and 2 down. Like a lot of BC boxes, the smaller BC boxes, they'll have 2 bedrooms up. it is so ridiculous to put 2 bedrooms on a floor because what, are you gonna have one kid?
Yeah.
Like majority of people have at least 2 kids, so now they're sharing a room, or one kid's down low. If you got a kid that's less than 10 or 15 in that range, they're not going to want to be on a floor by themselves.
Yeah.
They want to be close enough to you that they feel safe. So, buying a house with bedroom allocations in weird locations, that's an issue. Or you'll see a house that has like a den with a closet in it. So you walk in the front door and there's a den. It's an office, but there's a closet in it, so it's a bedroom. So then they go, oh, well, this is a bedroom. So then you walk in and go, oh, I got to put one of my kids here right by the front door. Fantastic for little Timmy if he's 16 years old and he wants to sneak out. Not great for an 8-year-old. So these are things to factor in.
For
How
sure.
old is the buyer going to be that's going to buy the home from you?
Yeah.
Right? Likely, if you're in an entry-level home, they're going to be young kids, and they're going to be coming out of a townhouse, getting into a house.
Yeah.
Right? So not a big deal if, you think you're going to sell to a boomer. But remember, boomers have their priorities now. Boomers, they're looking for primary on main. I was going to say master on main, but that's not right. Primary on main, they want less stairs, easy entranceway. As they grow older, they want that to be the last house that they buy, right? So those are some factors that come into play.
What about outside spaces?
Outside spaces, I mean, I think a covered patio in BC is super important.
Yeah,
obviously.
Definitely. Yeah.
We get a lot of rain, and it's August, and you've got friends coming over, and then all of a sudden the rain clouds roll in, and then there goes your plans. So it's nice to have outdoor spaces that are covered in BC. Inside, outside, that's nice to have a inside-outside space that's free-flowing from the kitchen into the area where you would sit. Not a need. It's just nice. So there's certain needs, like having the right amount of bedrooms in the right location.
Outside bedrooms for sure.
Yeah.
Like finishes you can always change.
Yeah.
So yeah, they could increase the value, but it's...
Well, I believe the question was what home features actually sell
And increase value.
and increase value. Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, features are this. Features are everyone's taste.
Yeah.
So when you're going out and buying light fixtures and stuff, someone might walk in and go, oh, these all need to go. And you just bought them.
Yeah.
You just put them in and they're like, oh, these are ugly. These got to go.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a taste thing. If you have great taste, people will walk in and go, oh, wow, this place is so nice. Oh, my God. Oh, this is beautiful. And it's just, fixtures and design. And then you pull all the furniture out and it's just like, it's white walls.
Yeah.
It's just bare space. But the flow in the furniture and stuff like that was really good. So that helps. Decluttering, depersonalizing. These are huge things that increase value when selling.
And it like having a flow to your space, like for staging, I would say would make a big difference because people, that flow walking through a home gets them more excited about it. Like it doesn't feel as choppy.
In a more competitive market, so when buyers have more say because there's less buyers, which is right now, you have to have a nicer product, right? You have to be nicer than the guy beside you at the same price, and then they'll buy your home. That sounds so obvious, and I know I'm stating the obvious, but I'm stating it for a point. We've been in a market for like the last 8 years where you could put, excuse the term, a bag of dog shit home on the market and it would sell in hotcakes, sometimes multiple offers because, there was just nothing else available. So someone's going in there buying it and they're putting $100,000 into it and they knew that they were going to do that. Now that's $200,000 for the record because cost has gone so much, has risen so much for trades and material.
Definitely.
So, I mean, if I was like, is this a question to sell the home or just what gives
Sell
value?
and increase value.
So increase value. Okay, so the major things are going to be kitchen, bathrooms. Okay, those are the major things. Flooring, painting, a simple color throughout, whether that be a white or whatever you're going to do. No purple rooms, no yellow rooms. We need to make the canvas as inviting as possible to whomever was walking through the door. That increases value. So as soon as you get into niches like, oh, I'm going to do the cupboards red because I think that looks cool, you've limited yourself on value, even though you're spending the money on new cupboards, because now the next guy that walks through goes, oh, I don't like red. So you have to do things in a way like features and fixtures and stuff like that. You have to do it in a way that appeals to the most amount of people, right? So I'm not saying white counters and white cabinets, but I am saying maybe don't design it yourself. Maybe bring in someone that knows what they're doing, and then spend the money. If you're going to be there for a couple years, you're renovating to sell. You're not you don't own it. You're renting it basically. You're selling it in 2 years. Like you're renovating for your sale.
Yeah.
If you're there for 25 years, have the red cabinets.
For sure.
Do the purple walls. Paint the exterior black. All right. So yeah, that's the answer to that question.
Okay. So next question. Is it worth buying a condo in Calgary as a first purchase?
Ooh, yeah, absolutely. Two things about Calgary. Number one, their rental laws are fantastic. So if you're renting out a place in Calgary and you own it and you're going to rent it out, if they don't pay rent by the 3rd, they're out.
Really?
Yeah, it's eviction, baby.
Wow.
See you later. Get out.
I
So
didn't know that.
they have to pay their rent to stay there.
Cool.
It's a completely different process than in BC. BC is one of the worst places in Canada to invest in as an investor. The renting laws are in favor of the renter. And I get it. I understand the concern for the renter. I get that. But I also understand the concern for the investor. They bought and are supplying a place for someone to live based on the notion that they're going to get so much for rent and they're going to cover the costs, et cetera, et cetera. So in Alberta, it is a fantastic place to invest. And if you're going to buy a condo and you're going to buy it in Alberta, the value is going to go up. Alberta is going to be popping for the next 20 years. Everyone and their dog is moving there because there's jobs. It's cheaper to live. Food is cheaper. Gas is cheaper.
It's actually really nice.
They don't have, it is very nice.
I like
it's
it.
a beautiful city.
Yeah.
Beautiful city. I love it. It's clean.
Yeah.
It's safe. It's nice and a
is
lot of
nice.
sunshine. So Calgary is going to be popping for 20 years. And if you're wanting an investment that you're going to hold, there's two types of investments in real estate. You got your flips and you got your holds. The flip is you buy, you fix, you sell, and then you get the lift. Now BC's taken a tax against the flip, so they're going to get 20% of that profit. So flipping in BC is not as advantageous. Then the hold. The hold is the long-term gain. The tenant goes in, they pay your mortgage, and then in 20 years, you now have an income source and equity in that place. So 25 years later, let's say, you buy one condo every couple of years, and then that's your retirement. You've got your 5, to 10 places by the time you retire that are paid off, and that are paying you. That's a great way to set up a retirement for somebody, especially like independent contractors or someone who doesn't have a pension or something like that. Someone who runs their own business. Great long term hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, never sell, just hold.
For sure.
And that's it sounds like this is going to say, like, this is not racist, but it's the Chinese model. The Chinese buy and they hold.
Yeah.
And they're notorious for holding.
For sure.
And it is a very lucrative long-term play. So Chinese are very good with money and in real estate investing. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. Of course, it's a blanket statement, but they're notorious for holding, long-term holds. So if you're looking at Calgary for a long-term hold, 1 bajillion% do it. It's way better than buying locally.
Cool. Next question. How to get a mortgage when you have an unconventional income / self-employed?
You just got to, that depends. Like, it depends on what you're paying on your taxes, because taxes are going to be, they're going to be dependent. Getting a mortgage from a big 5 bank is going to be dependent on your taxes. If you go B, they'll look at everything. So they're going to look at all your income sources and stuff like that. Let's say you're a waitress and you're making tips and you're making lots of money in tips. They can use that tip average in a B mortgage. So you can actually get a mortgage with a B lender. What is a B lender? A lender is like a big 5 bank. Royal Bank, TD, Scotia, all those banks. Those are A lenders. A B lender would be like an insurance company. Maybe they sell life insurance and they also have a mortgage aspect to the business. And so you're going to pay a little bit higher of a rate, but they'll have an easier bar to get it. A lot of real estate agents have to go B because the mortgage, their income is so volatile. They're making $60,000 a month in spring, and then they're making nothing in December. So there's such a volatility there that they need to look at the average. Whereas A love the plumber who makes $90,000 a year or the teacher who makes $100,000 a year because it's consistent. And they go, oh, this is good. This is your ratio. So B is better for business. Remember that.
Cool. In this current market, is it better to sell a home without any renos done for a lesser price, or do the renos and price it higher? Are homes sitting longer with a higher price point?
Yes, yes, and yes. Okay, so that was a multi. Let's go one question at a time on that.
In this current market, is it better to sell a home without any renos done for a lesser price, or to do renos and price it higher?
Okay, so that depends on how long you've owned the home. So if you're a baby boomer sitting in a home and you have a ton of equity, I would say flip it and sell it, because you're not going to pay the tax of the flipping because you've lived there for a long time.
Right.
So I would get someone to come in, not you, have a designer come in and say, this is what we need to do. And then you modernize your home, put a suite in the basement, and then you can sell it at a higher price. Remember, people are getting approved for mortgages. They're not getting approved for mortgages plus improvements. So they're buying your home at what it is face value. So people are willing to pay more money for a nicer turnkey home because it's nothing out of pocket. That money that you invest in your home gets rolled into their mortgage, their monthly payment. They don't see it. They're just turning key onto a nice renovated property. So I would work with someone who knows what they're doing, what's trendy, what's out. We're not doing a white farm style kitchen anymore.
So you're saying to reno it and price it higher?
That is the caveat on if they've owned it for a long time and there's a lot of equity in the home.
Okay.
If they've just bought it's a case by case scenario. Let's
imagine say 5 years. You've owned it for 5 years.
Great question. Okay, so you've owned it for 5 years and you're upgrading. Sell quickly.
Don't reno it.
Don't reno it. Sell it low, because the spread to a larger, nicer home is lower now than it will be in a year.
Right.
So if you're quickly wanting to move up in the market, do it quickly, right now. Now's the best time to upgrade, because the top of the market, to answer the next part of this question, the top of the market is seeing the largest repression on price versus the middle. People can't afford the $2 million homes, so they're forced to stay put. I've got clients that wanted to upgrade, great credit, good incomes. And they look at it and they go, ooh, $8,900 a month for a mortgage? Ooh, we can't do that.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah.
So those people are kind of stuck now, right? They want a nicer home. So if you're a baby boomer sitting in a BC box, renovate it. And then those people are going to come in and go, oh, nice, turnkey, 1.5, nice, good price. Not 2. But if you're going into that, $2 million home or whatever, if you're going up, sell quickly and then make that transition as fast as possible, because prices. So what's going to happen if the Bank of Canada reduces rates in July is my guess, prices are going to be an all-time high by 2026. And that gap in between what you're in now to what you want will be larger. And you'll lose maybe $80,000 to $120,000 in that spread going against you. So renovate if you're a baby boomer downsizing, or you've been in that home for a long time. And if you're quickly transitioning and upgrading, then do it quickly. So that's kind of a mixed answer there.
If you're a first-time home buyer and are very new to this experience, what are some tips or things to look for when buying?
Okay. First-time buyer, honestly, get your haves and wants nailed down. Okay, you need to know what you have to have in the home.
Like non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables. So I often find that people that are first-time buyers are like just kind of willing to take whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, chill. Are you willing to drive an extra 35 minutes to work every day?
Right.
Well, I think so. Well, think about it.
Try it out.
Yeah, try it out for a week. What I want you to do is get in your car and drive through traffic for an extra 35 minutes before you go to the office every day. You're probably going to be pretty fried by the end of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's figure out what is an absolute must-have and a non-negotiable, and then the wants. So narrow down your list. People are like, yeah, we could live in Mission, we could live in Chilliwack, we could do Langley, we could do anywhere. We just want to find something to live in. It's like, I get that you're excited, but like there will be options where you want them to be. So be realistic on price. Okay. So that's the next thing. So figure out what you want, but then be realistic on price. People will be like, oh, well, our budget's $1 million and it's listed at 1.2. Do you think they'll take $1 million? Would you take $1 million?
Yeah.
Would you take $1 million after you worked for all those years and blood, sweat, and tears, and you paid down the mortgage, and you're going to just take a $200,000 haircut because somebody's going to write you a letter and tell you how much it would mean to their family to move in? No, they're not going to take it. $200,000 haircut. Maybe your grandma would, but come on. So let's be realistic on price. Okay. If what you're looking for is a unicorn, it probably doesn't exist. You're probably not going to get it.
Yeah.
So being realistic about price comes from knowing what you need, not what you want.
Right.
Well, we really want a big yard. Yeah, everyone does.
Yeah.
You know why they're building townhouses instead of yards? Because people can't afford it. So they can afford a townhouse. So you got to actually know what the non-negotiables, and then you got to go, okay, so if you want a yard, then maybe you're getting an older house. And maybe that house is a little bit farther out in the valley than it is in Abbotsford. Maybe maybe you are moving to Chilliwack, and you're going to get an old house that was built in 1948, and it's small, but you have the yard because that was the non-negotiable. Or you're buying a newer home in Abbotsford, but it's a townhome, right? So what do you want?
But you have the amount of bedrooms you needed,
Yeah,
or
or
whatever it
you
was.
wanted turnkey.
Yeah.
You didn't want to do renovations,
Right.
right? So it's like you got to figure out what is it that we're willing to do and not willing to do, and then what is our actual budget, right? And then people have these kind of grandiose ideas. It's like, I want you to imagine like flooring and paint. That's what you're going to be able to afford to do. Flooring and paint. You're going to go to Home Depot. You're going to walk through the center aisle and you're going to see what's on sale and you're going to buy that flooring and you're going to put it in yourself. And then you're going to paint. That's it. If you can't live in that house in that condition as a first-time buyer, don't buy it, because that's what it's going to be for like 8 years, because you're not going to have money to renovate it, put a new kitchen in, and do that kind of stuff. Now, if you have the money, if you have equity, that's a different story, but that's not the question. The question is first-time buyers. So we need to figure out exactly what you need, not want, but need, like have to have, and then we got to figure out, make sure that you're honoring that budget and that it's realistic, and then start looking.
Okay. This one kind of goes with those. So, is this, in this current market, reduce price or hold out for the number you need?
So the market doesn't care about what you need. And I'm sorry to say that. The market doesn't give a shit. Oh, we bought it at this, we have to sell it at this, or we're not going to break even. Don't care, right? Because the market you didn't care when the market was telling you that the home was worth 1.3 and you bought it for $1 million. You're like, yay, 300,000.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I paid $1 million. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Someone gets that 300 grand. No, you loved the lift. You loved the lift. The lift was great. And now it's a depression and it's going down in price. And you're like, whoa, I need this amount. The market doesn't care. It's worth what it's worth. So if you need a certain number and you're not getting it, you have to hold. And you might have to hold for 5 years.
Right.
But you have to
Right.
hold.
Yeah.
There is no way to get more money out of the home than what the market tells you it's worth. That's what the market's for, right? So now people think that, let's say you bought a house at a certain number and it's gone down. If you're upgrading, that doesn't matter, because you're going into a home that's worth more money, and that's come down too, right? So if you want to, people want to sell at the peak and buy at the dip, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You're selling at the dip and you're buying at the dip.
For sure.
And if you get really lucky, you sell and then you buy right before it jumps up. Great. Then you bought in the dip, but you also sold in the dip, right? I know people that tried to time the market and they're like, oh, it's going to crash. Crash is coming up, and they sold. And then lo and behold, within 2 years, the price of their home had doubled and they were sitting in renter's prison waiting to get back into the market. It's like, never play Donald Trump with your own home. It's your home. Like, play it safe. Like, don't try to time the market. I always say to people, don't time the market. It's time in the market. Okay. The longer you're in the market, the better, right? The prices over historical average are rising as inflation goes up and the deflation of the currency, the price is going up in your home, right? They're not making more dirt. You've heard all of these things before. There's only so many places they can build in BC, blah, 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 or in the Fraser Valley, I should say.
Yeah.
So the prices, if you want to look at the historical average, the prices are rising. So hold if you don't have the price that you need.
Yeah.
Right? But reduce the price, get less than you want if you're upgrading.
Yeah.
Because that's also depressed.
Yeah.
Buy high, sell high.
Yeah.
Buy low, sell low. Simple.
What has been the biggest shock in the market this year so far?
Something that I've never seen happen before, which is happening right now. And this is unprecedented. I've never seen this before. Sales are down. Inventory is up. Prices are up. Interest rates are up.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. We should not be seeing prices increasing right now.
Yeah.
And prices are increasing because of the expectation that the Bank of Canada will reduce rates.
Yeah.
If they don't, people are going to be really upset.
Yeah.
Because they're buying with the anticipation that it's going to come down. What if it doesn't? What if they keep it at where it's at for the next 5 years? Right? Then prices will come down because they have to. Right? So it's about affordability. Right now, people are kind of like weathering the storm. You know, the old, they get hold fast on their knuckles, like the sailors. They're like holding on to the deck and they're like, oh, we just got to get through. What if they don't come down? What if they leave it where it's at? What if inflationary spending from the federal Liberals continues to stay high and the Bank of Canada is forced to keep interest rates where they're at? Well, then what? We're going to be seeing a lot of renewals coming up before 2026 that could be pretty staggering for people. Almost every single person in Canada with a mortgage, his price has gone up. Yeah. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? So hopefully these people didn't commit fraud when they did the, what is that called? It's the higher price you have to qualify at. It's escaping me right now. Their qualification rate, what is it called? It doesn't matter. It'll come to me. But you have to get qualified at a higher rate than what the actual rate is.
Right.
I can't remember what it's called. And it's brain farting. This is going to be out in radio land, but oh well. So if people committed fraud, mortgage fraud, to get that number and they got the mortgage, when the rates go up, they won't be able to pay it. So then there'll be some forced sales. So we'll see some market correction if the Bank of Canada does not reduce rates.
Okay. These two kind of similar. What changes would you like to see in the market that can benefit everyone / the majority instead of just one bracket of people, like first-time home buyers or baby boomers or whatever?
Okay.
Do you want me to mention that one or after?
Let's do that after. Okay. So firstly, what would I like to see? So a lot of the cost of home ownership has been kicked to developers. And developers are paying development cost charges to develop homes. So let's say they put a home in on a street and they're going to put 2 homes. So the city says, well, we want a sidewalk, we want you to put a light post in, and we want you to put new sewer in because you're putting more pressure on the system. So the developer has to then turn over the money to do all of those things. The city puts it in a slush fund, and then eventually they'll build it. Okay. The issue with that is the new owner of the home. So let's say it's a subdivision. It went from 1 lot to 2 lots. The new owner of the home, not, you can say each of them are paying 50% of it, or one of them is paying 100% of it. They're paying for the cost for the city to do its job, essentially, right?
Right.
In Texas, if you own a home, you could be paying $15,000 to $20,000 a year in property taxes. Here, it's like $3,000 to $4,000 or $5,000 for this similar home. So they're paying 4 times the amount of property taxes that we are, and the cost of development is cheaper there. So they can build more homes, right? So what we've done is we've created an artificial bottleneck of cost getting kicked to the first-time buyers and to the people who would purchase new homes.
Right.
At the benefit of a current owner because they have a lower property tax. So the city can keep property taxes down. They love it because the mayor looks good. Property taxes are down, but services are up. And everyone's like, wow, the mayor's a genius. No. The first-time buyer's flipping the bill.
Right.
So all of these baby boomers and stuff like that are sitting high and pretty in their equity, and they go, "Oh, our kids can't afford a place. This is terrible." They can't afford a place because because taxes are getting siphoned through development costs, and then they're keeping a artificial retention on how many properties are available because they can't build enough. So then prices are staying high because there's not enough supply to bring prices down. Now we're in a very precarious position with the baby boomer generation getting older and coming to a place where they need to sell and pull the equity out of their homes. Because if they build a whole lot of homes for the millennials and the Gen Zers, the value of the baby boomers goes down, and then guess what? They don't have money to retire. So we're in this very precarious balancing act that people don't even realize is going on. So the best solution that I can think of is you need to unleash the private sector. You need to let people build more homes.
Right.
And they need to take away the bottlenecks at the city and take away the bottlenecks for tax incentives and stuff like that. So they need to make it easier and cheaper to build. The problem is they have to do it in a timely manner as to not steal all the equity away from the baby boomers who need that money to retire. Because guess what? We don't have the money in Canada to pay for their social services. If you look at how much money you get on as an old timer money. What's it called? Social service money. Your income from for
like
old people, whatever. They get like $800 to $1,200 a month. It's not a lot. You can't live on that.
Yeah.
You can't live on that.
No.
So they need the equity in their home.
For sure.
So it's kind of a tough situation, and we've kind of painted ourselves into a corner in a lot of ways in Canada. We've painted ourselves into a corner, and now we need to figure out how to get out of it. So I don't think that really answers the question, but.
Well, what is the housing market missing and that it could use?
The housing market. So I believe that we're not building enough homes. I'm talking detached houses.
Yeah.
So we build a lot of townhouses and apartments because it's cost effective to build those. But then we're putting a whole generation of people into townhouses and apartments that don't want to live there. I want to walk my dog. I want to have a backyard to play with my kids. Everyone should have that. We have the second largest land mass country on the planet. Canada has more land than any other country on the planet with the exception of Russia.
Yeah.
How come we can't build anyhow? How come there's no land to build anything?
I know, right?
We all got to live on each other's elbows.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make
It's
sense
so
to me.
condensed.
Yeah. And we got so much land. So, I mean, I would love to see us spreading out a little bit more, maybe newer communities coming into places. But, that comes with jobs, right? So the more people work remotely, the less they need to live by the big city. Because you can go move up to Merritt, work at your job in Vancouver, and you're working remotely. You go in twice a year or whatever it is, and you drive down and you do your big meeting, your big HR
Even
meeting.
once a month.
Whatever.
Yeah.
People are doing that. So as that happens, as we continue to get more integrated into the internet, I think that the need for commercial hubs will diminish. So I would like to see more people in more homes and not in townhouses and condos. I don't think it's great for people to live in condos or apartments. I think it's nice to have your own yard.
And it isn't needed here.
No,
we
we
are
don't
not
need it.
limited by space.
We're not in like Europe where they've been living for that. It's a 150-year-old country, and there's lots of available land to build on. I don't know why we're not doing that.
Yeah.
The Fraser Valley, like we've got 5 million people stuffed into the Fraser Valley, and 90% of the land's ALR. Go figure, right? Do I want to get rid of the ALR? No. I think it's super important that we have land designated for farming use. We've got the richest valley, farming valley, lake beds and stuff like that for growing crops.
Yeah.
And we're going to, put cement pads on there. No, not a great idea.
Yeah.
But, we need to open up some more land and build some more product. And maybe that means, starting more communities or something like that. I don't know. But high-speed rail access would help. If you could take a train from Merritt and have a high-speed rail to Vancouver and be there in an hour, that makes sense. I mean, China, Japan, all throughout Europe, high-speed rail everywhere. Why don't we have any in Canada?
Yeah.
We have a slow sky train that goes at 60 kilometers an hour and clunk, 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 clunk. And then they've got in Japan, they've got bullet trains going 400 kilometers an hour riding on clouds, on air.
Yeah.
And suspended by electromagnets. Super fast, super efficient. Gone. So you could get from Kelowna to, a couple hours. Boom, you're there. Like an hour, whatever it is. Like, bam, fast. That's a commuter could do that now. So you're opening up the rest of the province. So we need to expand our scope of transit. I mean, it really does affect how we use cities.
100%.
We're super dependent on roadways, and everyone's got their own car and stuff like that, which is great. But
it does slow things down for
like
commuting.
in Mission, like you can get on the train and the West Coast Express and get to Vancouver pretty quickly. That's we need more of that.
Yeah.
And so I would like to see more houses getting developed, but in my lifetime, you'll never see another housing development in Vancouver. It'll all be apartments and townhouses. They will never build another set of houses.
Right.
It's just, you may see one person tear down a house and build a new house.
Right.
But the days of
like communities being built and stuff like that. Yeah.
Creek Springs, and there's this many new homes hitting the market. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone in Vancouver, and then it'll be gone in Burnaby, then it'll be gone in Surrey, then it'll be gone, and you keep moving out, and then eventually there'll be no more houses built in the Fraser Valley.
Right.
So if you own a house, hold on to it.
Right.
Because eventually they won't be building any more of them in the Fraser Valley. There's just no more land. Every development that's feasible now has some element of multi-housing. So townhouses, apartments, whatever. Like they've got 60 acres getting developed at Cooper Farms, row homes, townhouses, 200-unit townhouse complex, 40-unit townhouse complex, and they have some detached homes as well. but
But
they're
a
not.
small amount.
But they're not the majority.
Yeah.
They're the minority.
Yeah.
And that's Abbotsford.
Yeah.
Right. So Abbotsford's now already starting to get into the multifamily
Aren't
development.
those like
only.
connected to the previous housing developments?
Yep,
those
they were connected to the
homes?
previous street, so they're filling
So
up
it's
the
like
ball
it
with the
just
cul-de-sac.
completes that.
and-
It's not. It's not.
There
even,
are some.
Okay.
There are some that are getting built. I think it's like 70 or something, partially to do with the bulb of the cul-de-sac, but there are some that are getting built. But still,
Yeah.
that's Abbotsford.
For sure.
We got lots of land in Abbotsford. Abbotsford's very big.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if 7 exits on the highway. We're very large.
Yeah.
Yeah, big municipality. I think we have more land than. I don't want to say it's more than Vancouver, but it's a lot of land. So, I think it's a Vancouver, like not North Van or West Van, stuff like that. Just Vancouver. I think we have more actual land than they do.
Probably.
But again, ALR land.
Mm-hmm.
It's all farming and stuff like that, right? So, yeah. So what I would like to see in the market, I would like to see people being able to get into more homes, because I think that's what's healthier for you. You can get out and you put your feet in the grass and be in your own yard and ground yourself, and be with your family, stuff like that. So I mean, it's tough to see families have to grow up in apartments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, some people like it. They go live downtown and they have little kids and stuff, and they go to the park that's close by, and they enjoy that. Sure, great.
For sure.
Fill your boots. But yeah, I just think we have a lot of wasted space.
But a condo in a little suburb area like that, it doesn't.
No, it sucks.
Make sense.
It sucks.
It's not like a condo
Yeah.
or an apartment building in
Yeah.
downtown Vancouver, or even like Surrey,
Mm-hmm.
Burnaby,
So
Richmond.
I think this is, I was asking about all people.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's things that they need to do. I think some provincial parties want to bring in like a partnership, a rent to own for first time buyers with the province, which I think is great. Something that gets people into the market. Like there's enough value for investors to buy.
Yeah.
They know they're going to make money in the long run. We don't need to help investors. They're already doing well.
Mm-hmm.
We need to help the first-time buyers, the people that can't get into the market otherwise. 95% of people in BC get helped by their parents. 95%. 95% of first-time buyers are helped by their family in some way. They're getting gift letters for $100,000 or whatever it is, $500,000 towards a home. So, there's a lot of people are in the situation to receive that, and that's great. And hats off to you. But there's a lot of people that aren't in the situation where they're going to get anything from their parents or their grandparents. So those people are kind of now stuck because the market is, you can't save up $250,000 and live in BC right now. It's just so expensive.
On an average income.
On an average Canadian household
I mean, obviously
income.
there's the exceptions.
Sure.
But like.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's few and far between. So there's a
Definitely.
segment of people that are going to get left behind, and those people need the availability to be helped to get into the market. So I'd like to see more of that as well. So for more help for the first time buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't have to buy them houses, but
Well, it's like that's our future generations anyways.
but
like
get on.
it's like let's
Yep.
keep this country going.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see more development. I would like to see more houses. I would like to see us starting to utilize space that's not otherwise being used. I'd probably like to see us developing up smaller communities into mid-sized communities, but making them accessible to larger communities via high-speed transit.
Yeah.
So obviously airplanes are cheap. You just fly. It's a huge infrastructure cost to build high-speed transit, so the need's got to be there. But I have a feeling that if you build it, they will come. And if you build the transit system up
Definitely.
a bit, then developers are now going, wait a minute, we could do this here for less money, and we could do this type of product, and then we can sell it to these people and blah, blah, blah. So that kind of gets things going a little bit. And I think we need to kind of broaden the horizons of Fraser Valley real estate investment a little bit. So that's my answer.
Cool.
What else do we have?
That was the last question.
Do you have any questions?
Some of them, I've had a couple in there.
Oh, did you squeeze them in there? Good for you.
The last two were mine.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a weird time. We're either going to be popping a bubble soon or going into all-time highs in 2026.
Yeah.
So it's like we're right at a turning point either way, and it's going to be based on what the Bank of Canada does, and the Liberal government chooses to do
2026 or 2025.
Well, the Bank of Canada needs to reduce rates this year to make it more affordable for people to do refinancing. So it's too high right now. People are strapped. If they do that, then there will be this inevitable frenzy because everyone's on the sidelines waiting to see what's going to happen. They're still having kids. They're still getting promoted. They're still getting married and divorced. So they still have to have, there still are reasons why you have to move.
For sure.
There's want to move, which is not happening right now. Oh, it'd be nicer to have a bigger yard, but you know what? We'll just wait and see. That's a want to move. Great. No problem. But the have to moves are on the sidelines waiting right now. And when the Bank of Canada brings it, then they have to move, right? We've got a kid sleeping in a laundry basket. We got 3 kids in one room. We need more space. It's like, okay, I totally get it. That's a have to move. Now, when the rates come down, those have to moves are going to start to move. And those have to moves will start driving the prices up because there'll be the inventory that's on the market will get swallowed up. Yeah. And then they'll start competing and then the prices are going to start going up. And then as prices go up, because of the have to moves, the want to moves will start to move because now it makes sense to move because the prices are going up. So they're like, oh, well, I'll get more for our money, and then we're going to move into this better place, and it makes sense, and we're gonna do that. So then you get the have to moves and the want to moves are moving at the same time. Then the prices start really going up. Yeah, and we'll be in a record by 2026. Now, on the inverse side, if the Liberal government continues to spend inflationarily, the Bank of Canada will be handcuffed not to reduce rates, and the rates will stay the same. Then everyone that's coming up for renewal in the next couple of years will be faced with the decision. Do we reduce our lifestyle in order to pay the bill of this mortgage that's gone up? Or do we reduce our mortgage spending by having less of a property? And that'll be a decision that a lot of people will make. And I'm not saying that there's going to be a big influx of properties selling or foreclosing, because I don't believe that will happen. People have qualified at a higher rate, and so they'll make that decision to spend less money in their monthly expenses, and they'll put that towards the mortgage. That is a choice some people will make. Other people will downsize. So then when people start to downsize, if you have the have to moves that are downsizing, they have to move because they can't afford the payment anymore, they have to sell. So they'll have to reduce the price. And then they will reduce and reduce and reduce until it sells. If you get enough of those people on the market, that will suppress the prices. So the prices start to move down because you've got all these people that can't afford them anymore. Right. So then the value goes down. The banks don't want that. They want their value to stay high. Why? Because they lent against it. The bank owns it. Yeah. So if the value goes down, the bank is losing money. The banks don't want to lose money because then they can lend out less money and they can make less money and their profits go down and the shareholders don't like that. So it's a very slippery slope. It's the saying is, how did you go bankrupt? And they go very slow at first, then all at once. Yeah. And that's kind of what's going to happen in the market. You'll start to see these people that have to sell start to reduce, and then all of a sudden everyone's going to have to start slashing prices. So we're at this kind of precipice. What's going to happen? It's all based on the Bank of Canada. Right. And the Bank of Canada has to do what they're going to do based on our actions and our perceptions. So if we think they're going to reduce rates and we don't change our spending habits, they can't reduce rates. Right. So this is such a weird time to be watching the market. Like, it's such an odd, hard time to predict. People are like, what do you think is going to happen? It's like, well, 2 things, and they're exactly opposite. Yeah. So I can't tell you because I don't know, and no one knows. Anyone says they have this magic 8 ball, they don't know. I would lean to prices being up by 2026. Through the rest of this year, they'll start to rise in the second half of this year, and then they'll go up through 25 and 26. It'll be record highs. That's my best guess. But there's also this 30 to 45% chance that the rates don't come down, and then people start to get strapped, and then prices start to get pushed down because people can't afford it. That's about 30% chance. In my opinion, 30 to 45% chance. So we'll see. Cool. Yeah. Let's leave this on a positive note. What can we say on a positive note about real estate? Nothing? Anything?
For me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tough.
Be thankful if you own a house.
Yeah. Well, and historically, if you hold, prices will go up over time. So, they had the articles in the Vancouver Sun and the province and stuff back in the 80s that if prices exceeded $300,000 on a house in Vancouver, that our economy would collapse. You can go back and read these articles; they're hilarious. Like, it's honestly it's unreal. So it's like,
now you get a shoebox for $2 million.
Yeah, you get a shoebox for $2 million that you tear down and you build a $5 million house on top of. So prices over time go up. If you're going to buy real estate and hold, buy a house and hold.
Yeah.
Don't get a really skookum townhouse. Get a house because
like an older house that's run down, but it doesn't matter. But you have land
because they're not going to build more of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Land will run out.
Yeah, and it's like, you get a big lot, and I would rather have a big lot and a small house.
Same.
You know what I mean? Like, people want the really nice house and stuff like that, no yard. They're just going to be less valuable down the road.
And I feel like you're not as happy. I mean, unless you have a super busy lifestyle that you don't want to do any yard work or whatever, then that's obviously a different story.
Less connected in nature.
Yes.
Get outside.
Yeah.
Smell the flowers.
Yeah. Have breathing space.
100%.
For sure.
Cool. So that's it.
Thanks so much.
That's the podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Catch you next time.
Catch you next time, Radioland.